So this is the design for an RV, travel trailer, camper bunkhouse that I came up with for reaching the top bunk. And it only uses one board. So as long as you have tools and a little bit of skill, it really wasn't too hard to make. So quick update, the kids have been climbing up and down this ladder for about 2 weeks now, and it's been holding up really well. I'm impressed with the paint, it's doing good, and also the weak link has held up very well too, so it's looking great. And one more thing, I wanted to show you guys my shower curtain. Isn't that the cutest thing? I just love it. So what I did was I had a 2x4x10, and I took and I ripped the board down the middle so that I had 2 boards that were 10 feet long. And then that's what became these side rails and also the steps, because obviously that's not 10 feet long. It's 52 1/4 to right here. So the extra wood that I had was what I used to make each of the steps. So then what I did was I measured how far it went behind here. And this was 5/8 of an inch. And this was 3/4 of an inch. And then I did 4 inches to here so that there's a slight gap so that we can lift it up and unhook it. So then I just traced that out on both of the pieces, and I used my jigsaw to do the cut on both of them. And then I knew I wanted enough space for another kiddo to get in here, so I made this to be 15 inches, and with the length of the ladder I cut these to be 12 inches each, so 4 of them at 12. And then I took my orbital sander with 220 grit and I went around and I rounded all the sharp edges all the way around on every single sharp edge corner and made it smooth. And then when I put them together, I spaced them to be 9 inches on center. So they're spaced 9 inches apart on center. One of my goals was for this bottom ladder rung to be above this piece of wood right here. Wow, that is a nice frog, Elsie. That's a big guy. For that awesome frog introduction, I wanted to make this last rung to be above the edge of this so that when they step up here, they weren't constantly stepping on this, and kind of everything in a camper is kind of weak. So I put the ladder rung to be above this piece of wood, so when they step, they're not going to step on it. So yep, spacing 9 inches on center. I did 2 screws in each rung on both sides so that they're not going to spin, and I used a drill to put them in, and then I used a little bit larger drill bit to fit the head of the screw inside the wood without cracking it. Sometimes wood can be finicky and it'll crack if you just jam it in there. So I screwed a hole to be the size, or drilled a hole to be the size of the screw, and then I took a little bit bigger bit so that I could sink the screws flat. So, and then that's how it goes, and we have enough space here that even when we open the door, that can open all of the way, and it doesn't get hit. And like I said too, it unhooks easily, so that if you don't need it, you have bigger people staying in, you can just take it off, remove it, and go store it somewhere. So here again is the design from this side. Everything is rounded, so no kiddos get poked on the edges. So that's how it works, and all the way to touching the floor. It's not hanging or suspended, because this is pretty thin, so I wouldn't want a lot on that, but when I crank on it, it's strong enough. And I tested that out before I made this. I took a scrap piece and did my dimensions and everything, and then I tried real hard to break that, and it's pretty strong. You can reinforce it with a metal bracket if you felt you needed to, or even if it does end up breaking or cracking, you could do something like that. But I just didn't have time to go to the store, and so I just used one 2x4x10 with some 2.5-inch screws and wood glue to secure each of the steps. And that's what that's what I came up with. So that's what I came up with, and the kiddos tried it out and it works great. It's very sturdy, and I'm going to be painting it black so that it kind of goes with the decor here kind of in the camper. So I painted the ladder with this Fusion mineral paint. It's in coal black. I paint furniture, so this is just one I had on hand. This has a built-in top coat, so it should be very sturdy, but I will be adding another top coat. I'm going to be using polyurethane water-based for interior in matte. If you wanted it shiny, you could get semi-gloss or gloss, but that's just to add extra protection because it's going to have such heavy use. So that's what I'm going to be using. And there's the 2 coats on the ladder. I'll be letting the ladder dry with the 2 coats that I put on with this Fusion mineral paint. I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then I'll seal it up with the top coat polyurethane tomorrow.